Was Reyes born in the 70s?
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Brony Debates Live. We're going to be talking on some more hot takes from Equestria Daily. I'm joined tonight by the beautiful Princess Heather Blossom. How are you doing tonight, Heather?
I'm pretty fat.
Why are you fat, Heather? Why do you say that?
I had 2 bowls of corned beef with cabbage and I had cheesecake.
Alrighty then. Yeah, I had the same thing too, so I'm probably pretty overweight myself. I'm going to get this out of the way, full disclosure, for those who tuned in last week. I know I said that this week was going to be a different debate, namely Sunset Shimmer versus Starlight Glimmer. I did not have a chance to set that up. This week was particularly busy, and this weekend I've just been having an absolute stamina crisis. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Well, I could probably take a couple of guesses, but ultimately I don't really know what's wrong with me, but I cannot stay awake for the life of me. It's been a real problem. So we're doing this, and hopefully I can do it next week. So here's the thing. We're very grateful to everybody who supports the channel, especially on the $10 and up tier, such as this big long list I'm about to name. There's Heather, who's with me. There's Shady Oak, Autoknight, Emerald Spencer, Senko, DJ, Rein-Kun, Billy, Alden, EasyMode, Kanto, Mr. Sonic, Alicia, Calbec, StarChaser, VentureCorp, Willyzin, Icanus, Vulpecula, Raptor's Talon, Jimmy, and Dark Malcontent. Be sure to check out all of their links in the link tree. And you can support the channel as well. See what you get in return. That is in my link tree. Both of those are in the description. And if you want to call in to the show and make your voice heard, we'd love to have you. At the very top of the description is a Discord server. So you join that. You go in there. You tell us what you want to talk about. And if we like what you have to say, then we'll let you on the show. Or if you just have a short message you want to get delivered right away, you can leave a tip jar, and as little as $1, and your message gets read out live on air. Now then, that's a whole lot to say. We got to get into the meat and potatoes of it now, which is Equestria Daily. So they do this community soapbox thing where people can just sort of write in and have their opinions heard. So, Heather, you ready?
I'm ready. Freddie, we should probably tell them the tip jar link is active if they feel like throwing in a few cents.
Yeah.
Give us your 2 cents through a tip, please.
Alrighty then.
But let's see, what do we
So Rusty said, what happened to the debate? During the week I didn't have time to set it up, and on the weekend I've been pretty much dead. Like, I've been having trouble even staying awake on my feet. I'm having some sort of medical condition going on here. Anyway, so today we've got egotistical pony fans, 10 years of Equestria girls, Hitch's childhood, and more. How much of this do you think is going to be headcanon?
Well, egotistical pony fans, I don't think is going to be much headcanon. That might have some basis in reality. But Hitch's childhood, yep, sure, could just be some fanon. We'll see what and more is about.
Interesting. Alrighty then. So,
I love the way this one's titled, Are Bronies Too Egotistical? By Iron Yoshi. I feel like I've heard of them.
Iron Yoshi, yeah, we've run into posts by Iron Yoshi in this segment before. So let's see here. This would have been a really good debate topic too, really. Maybe.
You know, maybe we can expand on it with more people at a different day. But first, let's see what Iron Yoshi had to say about it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Another soapbox that criticizes the fandom. Haven't you done enough of that already? Oh, believe me, we're only scratching the surface when it comes to the fandom's many, many flaws. But today, we are going to address whether or not bronies have an ego problem. What do I mean by ego problem? Well, basically meaning that this fandom is too self-centered, thinking that everything they do is better than any professional writer, artist, toy maker, and being all, if it wasn't for us, MLP wouldn't have lasted as long as it did. So Hasbro better cater to us. All right, so let's take a second here and do that. We occasionally we do have writers that are really good.
I will say they'd have to show me specific examples because like every writer, artist, and like any artist creator of any kind in this fandom, I feel like has always had a big self-esteem issue and doesn't think they're good enough.
Yeah, or they're completely insecure.
Yeah.
In themselves. Now when you say writer and artist, I'm gonna compare them to a professional scale. Now we definitely have had really good writers. We've had really good artists, but what makes a really good artist is the ability to copy other people's art styles, because that's it. Like if you're gonna be an animator, you've got to be able to change your art style to match the model. And so, that takes a lot of talent there. Not everybody can do that. Toy maker is interesting.
Yeah, like you would have to give me a specific one there. Every plushie maker I know is just like, yay, cute stuff. I make cute toy.
Yeah, now we definitely of course, private commission-based plushie artist is probably going to produce a higher quality thing than some Chinese mass-produced pony plushie can make, right? We can do customization, we can do size differences.
That's true. That's why they cost so much.
Right. Now, here's the thing. This last sentence here of this first paragraph, this is true.
Well, the part where, like, if it wasn't for us, MLP wouldn't have lasted as long, and I think that's true. The part where, so Hasbro better cater to us, I feel like is the arrogant part,
It is a little bit arrogant, but I also understand it. There's no reason to snuff where most, or not snuff, but snub is the correct word, where most of your money is coming from. It would be smart to cater to the bronies, but by the same token, we became bronies because of what the show was before Hasbro knew about bronies. You know what I mean? Pardon me, I got to cough a little bit.
We should move on to that next paragraph.
Yeah.
Expand on this a little, Iron Yoshi.
Now, this isn't meant to discredit or undermine the incredible talent this fandom has. We have some remarkable artists, writers, musicians, craftspeople, etc. The issue comes when bronies think that everything they do is better than anyone else. Newsflash, there's definitely a lot of trash underneath all that treasure. So I'll say this. Most bronies can't really voice act. We have very few voice actors. Most of us can't really sing either. So that's, we have very few vocalists in the fandom. What else? Music's usually pretty good. Not everything this fandom produces is gold. For every amazing piece of art, there's always one lazy edit done in MS Paint. For every great work of fanfiction, there's always cringy self-insert crossover ship fix. For every well-written and thoughtful analysis, there's always a review that boils down to throwing a tantrum and personally insulting people involved in that episode. Voice of reason. Sensing a pattern here? Okay, so this is true.
That's the yin and the yang. I mean, the good comes with the bad.
This is true, but here's the question I always ask. Do we see this in the Brony fandom more than other fandoms in general?
I think it's just fandom in general, but I guess in this particular piece we are just taking a look at bronies.
Yeah, now anytime anyone does this type of thing or behaves like this is not okay. But I don't see this in the Brony fandom more than I see it in other fandoms. You know where I see this type of stuff that he's talking about the worst is actually in the Steven Universe fandom.
Oh man, that's like, I hadn't even seen nothing from Steven Universe in a million years, but I wasn't really in touch with that fandom. Like, there was certainly things I liked.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like how I am with the Has Been Hotel fandom now. I don't really interact with anybody from there other than liking art and doing my own thing.
Yeah. So let's see here. Not only that, but Hasbro doesn't really owe bronies anything. Sure, the writers may throw a bone or two at them, but that doesn't mean MLP was made exclusively for you.
He did that in all caps. I think this is something more personal than he's letting on.
I got the sense of projection from the previous paragraph.
Yeah, I'm feeling the vibe.
I don't think I've seen any iteration of My Little Pony where its fans are so self-centered and entitled. G1 fans, Ponytail fans, G3 fans, hell, even some G5 fans, all seem really chill compared to G4 fans. Sure, Brony influence may have helped G4 last a little longer than others, but that doesn't mean other iterations of the franchise and its fans are any less valid.
Well, I want to pause there. Nobody said that. No one said those other fans are less valid. And I'm going to go out at the front here at the beginning of it.
People have definitely said G1, G3, and G5 fans are less valid.
Well,
I've heard that.
Well, someone said it to him, but I'm just saying the people around me wouldn't have. We have people we know that like G5. But I would say at the beginning you say Hasbro doesn't really owe Bronies anything. You contradict that later in your paragraph. Yes, they do. They freaking made their My Little Pony really take off. Friendship is Magic would not have lasted longer without them. Like, that's not being egotistical. That's just a fact. Hasbro owes them for that success. I'm not saying that, like, yeah, they should go out of their way to cater to Bronies and make everything for them in the way that they want. I'm just saying they kind of do. They kind of owe it to them, because if Bronies didn't become a thing, their thing probably wouldn't have lasted longer, been any bit as profitable as it is.
Yeah, now the thing, and I said it last week too, the only thing that's really required is effort and quality. We became Bronies because the show had effort and quality. So, when things get successful, that's not a reason to rest on your laurels and let the quality or the effort slip. You still need those two things.
Yeah, they just owe the fandom, putting their best foot forward on their creations. You know? I think all they owe the Brony fandom is an honest effort. And that's not asking much, I don't think.
And one more thing I want to state here is, while I have seen people say that fans of other generations are less valid, I've only ever seen that online. I've seen that in forums, and 4chan, and Twitter, and things like that. I've never seen that in person.
Yeah, at cons, I see people dressing up as G5 characters and the like. And you know, a lot of G1 fans, Ponytail fans, G3 fans, they all became Gen 4 fans too, as far as I seen. Like, there's a lot of, like, old My Little Pony fans. Like, not as in age, but as in they, like the older stuff.
And it could be said for, like, G1 fans, they're older. They're probably in their mid to late 30s, or even 40s or 50s or things like that at this point. They're most likely naturally going to be a little bit more mature than to have any sort of entitled attitude or things of that nature. And also, the culture of that generation was a little bit more modest in terms of acting out like that. Obviously there was a lot about 1980s culture that was far from modest. Very, very flashy generation, but that's not the point I'm making.
Let's go on.
So let's see here. And fans saying that they can do everything better. I mean, do I even need to elaborate on what I talked about earlier?
I sure would appreciate it if you did.
Yeah, you can't just
keep making all these statements and have nothing to back. I mean, I guess that's kind of what Community Soapbox is for. It's just yelling into the void, and this is their event piece.
Yeah. Sure, a few ideas and theories fans came up with are good and a bit plausible, but again, not every idea a fan comes up with lands. Is it a bit annoying seeing Brony say all their ideas are better than anything the show came up with, when a lot of the time, some of them don't even make sense or are just flat out awful? I've had that, yeah.
I would like an example of what you're talking about. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I don't think the fans should be like, oh, my idea is so much better. They should have done my idea. Well, for
I can actually give an example, because myself and the other analysts, we deal with this at least once or twice at every convention we go to where we talk to other people. And yeah, there are fans out there, and they'll have these theories, or they'll say, I think it should have been, it would have been different if it had been done X, Y, or Z way. And whatever they say, just, if it's a theory, it will make zero freaking sense. And if it's, I think it should have been like this 9 out of 10 times, it will totally negate the whole point of the episode, or the message, or the characterization that is, you know, and it's just something that they sort of pulled out of their own fan fiction and projected onto the character. And then when reality didn't match, they throw in a hissy fit about it. Or they're, you know, they expect things to work a certain way because of their own life. And then when they don't, they can't understand that, you know, not everybody works the same way. And yeah, we see it all the time. And then they come up to you, especially as us and the analyst, and they're like, okay, if I can, hopefully, you know, the analyst will agree with me, or I'll get them to agree with me or something like that, and then I'll be validated, and that very rarely works out that way. I've told a number of people straight to their face that's a horrible idea, or if you really think that's a good theory, you should make the video yourself and not tell me to do it.
Yeah, it's like they don't want to put in the work.
Yeah, and here's another thing: you can always tell when you're about to get a brain dead take like that just by the face of these people. Like, it's in their eyes that they are not connecting the dots, that they're not all there. You can see it in the face. It's weird. I don't know how to explain it necessarily, but I have noticed a significant pattern in phenotype here.
I just seen something Trent put in the bottom. Mixmaster still. Dang.
Yeah, Mixmaster. I've heard from a couple of people that, like, right after we had Mixmaster on the show, he, like, doubled down and somehow got even worse.
Oh, man. It's like that meme I posted, like, a year ago. It was just like, I can fix him. It's like, nah, I can make him worse. Let's make him worse. Let's see what happens.
You're peeking, Heather.
I'm sorry. I was excited. Let's see what happens when I make him worse.
All right, let me just lower this volume a little bit.
Sorry, I go very high.
I know, and I love you for it. Okay, last paragraph. So in short, Brony should really get off their high horse and deflate their own egos.
I thought that said eggs. Deflate their own eggs.
Again, this isn't meant to undermine the incredible talent in the fandom. It kind of does, though, but...
Yeah, you know, he's trying to cover his ass.
Yeah, parading around the fandom can do no wrong and turns everything into gold, and that they're the reason this franchise is still afloat. That is just ridiculous.
Actually, but they kind of are, though.
They kind of are. We definitely are the reason why.
Like
we went because they were slotted for 3 seasons.
Yeah.
You know, the first season did really well, so they gave Lauren Foss a second and then a third season. She left after the second season was wrapped up, and they just kind of went on from there. But Larson specifically said Magical Mystery Cure was supposed to be the last episode of the whole thing, and then they were going to do Equestria Girls, and that was going to be it. So fan content is important, yes, but don't go around acting like you deserve something in return, and don't act like every piece of fan content is sacred text. I think that's an important lesson for this fandom.
I think you gotta keep in mind, like, look, I get what you're saying. Somebody hurt you. You see a lot of people being dicks. Might I suggest you go to more wholesome sides of the internet, or maybe just don't. But I want to say that you say that frickin' that go around the fandom can do it wrong, and still just like that the reason the franchise is still afloat because of the fandom. Yes, it is. I mean, the franchise wouldn't be a thing if there weren't fans there buying the shit, watching it, and supporting it. You need fandom when it comes to content like this. For cartoons, for movies, you need fans. A fandom has to happen in order for success to be achieved.
Now, before we move on to the next one, let's see the chat here. Mangle Muffet saying, greetings, Heather and Brawny. Hope you had a great day. It's been all right. Did you have a good day, Heather?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
You've kind of been babysitting me and carrying me around the house all day.
I got to be in my rocking chair today.
Yep.
My rocking chair. That's where I'm going to retire, guys. I'm going to retire to the rocking chair on our front porch. That's what I'm going to do in my old golden years, you know? And I was looking around. I was trying to put together stuff for cosplay videos, guys. You know, just getting ideas out, brainstorming.
Yeah. And then she says, you should have a week of rest, like for one. I can't though. I'm fine. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Live streaming's not really my cup of tea. It never was, but I'm financially reliant on it. All right. So let's.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, Trent.
Yep. That's right. It was. That was the whole reason we had corned beef in the crock pot today.
Yeah.
Okay. AJ Pearson says, would you say that the episode "A Matter of Principles" as one of the most poorly executed messages? Yes, I would.
Was that the one where Flim and Flam opened up their own friendship school?
No, that's the one where Starlight was in charge of the school for a day and Discord was trolling her.
What was supposed to be the lesson again?
How to, include your friends and take into account other people's feelings when you're it's.
In a way, I get it because
imagine if the lesson of Bab's Seed applied to school administration. And here's the thing, it doesn't. Starlight did nothing wrong in that episode.
I don't like Starlight, but I like the way she just freaking disintegrated Discord.
Discord was being a danger to the students, and she defended the students with the necessary force, right?
But you don't understand. You have to placate Discord because he's a god or something.
Right, and also, I don't believe for once, it is just straight up bad, I'm going to say it's straight up bad writing, that Starlight was able to affect Discord magically on any level. That's when people say Starlight's overpowered or Starlight's a Mary Sue or things like that. It's things like that go, yeah, you might have a point occasionally. Harriman says, pandering to the gallery is often a ticket to failure, as radio stations that listen to stop playing X, play more of Y. Critics fail because those critics aren't the main audience. And
I get what you're saying, yeah, and I'm definitely saying that you shouldn't have to cater to every little whim of the fandom, but I think you, at the very least, owe them, honest effort and quality,
Yeah, so let's see here. There we go. What else we got? Golden Fox Picture says not everyone thinks on the same page, and
yeah.
I'm not sure what he's referring to, but hello, Golden Fox, how you doing? Let's see here. Let's see here. Golden Fox says, I don't need to jump in the call. This is their take, and I'd rather not jump in. Hey, listen, here's the thing, guys. We actually want that. We want you to call into the show and tell us what you think and fight with us. Or at least fight with me. I like fighting.
No, we're going to go here. The Brony fandom is trash. Yep. They're lame, and they smell bad. I'm like, hey, all fandoms smell bad.
Yeah, so
that's why we sell soap in the merch hall.
And he's saying, yeah, matter of principles was trash, and so yeah, Golden Fox, you and I can be friends. Let's see here, what do we got here? The Curious Childhood of Hitch.
I will say, I immediately kind of don't care.
Now, Heather, you've seen more of G5 than I have.
Gosh, yeah, so it's kind of necessary.
Do we talk about Hitch's childhood at all?
A little bit. We know his grandma. I don't know where his parents are. I don't know where anyone's parents are except for the frickin' Pip and Zip. They have a mom. Don't know where their dad is.
Yeah.
Sunny Star Scout's dad is dead. Don't know what happened to her mom. Hitch has a grandma. Can't think of where his parents are.
Okay, so have we had a look into Hitch's childhood?
Just a little bit when they were, like that one Christmas special episode where they visited his grandma and he liked to do things in a very particular, specific way.
Yeah.
That, I don't know, he could be a child that had issues with things not being exactly the way he liked it.
Yeah. So I see that Golden Fox joined the call-in server there. I've given him calling permission, so Golden, if you got something to say, whenever you're ready, hop in the call and come and say it. In the meantime, let's see what we got going on here. So we've seen a little bit, but we haven't seen a lot. And this
What's from what I saw?
Okay, so I asked the fine folks at the EQD Discord server. Oh, I might have to join that Discord server. What topic they'd like me to cover? Glistening Dawn. I don't know if I've seen Glistening Dawn before. Did we see Glistening Dawn on last week when we did that?
I don't remember Glistening Dawn.
Alrighty then. So let's see here. And they requested I look into the childhood of Hitch Trailblazer. Okay, so we have
Okay, so maybe they're using some context.
And here's Golden Fox in the call. How are you doing today, sir?
Hey, so I've been listening to what you guys have said so far. So far I don't have anything you guys like. There's nothing I disagree with so far.
Yeah. Well, tell us your thoughts anyway.
Okay, so there's been a handful of things I probably lost track of. Let's see. That message earlier I said not everyone thinks on the same page, and that's mainly because To whether or not the fandom, or to whether or not not the fandom, the staff behind MLP should cater to the fans and such. Um, yeah, I don't like you. Like I said, you guys are like on point with that. I'm suddenly losing my train of thought. The only thing that they would, that they owe us is just, just put in the effort. I think Heather Blossom said that.
I said that too, but yeah.
I said it
Oh,
louder.
okay.
It tends to be how it goes.
Either way, the word was out. But yeah, that's really the most that we really should like, the most that we would ask for.
Or expect, you know?
Yeah, expect. And I think that's a standard for literally any medium out there, and that's honestly that's completely fine. Do you have a link to the Do you have a link to the article? I got to take a look at it again because I know that
Okay,
you guys are on a stream.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'll drop it into the Discord server right there in the call-in server. That's the one.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, it's the Equestria Daily's community soapbox. So do you go on Equestria Daily a lot?
Not that often, actually. I've become a bit detached from the site. There's a bit of a favoritism involved, and that's really just my perspective.
There certainly can be.
I
Yeah,
would say this brought into aspect in what we honestly think Hasbro owes us has been like, an honest effort and maybe just a good quality of things. But have we felt that they've really delivered on that? Like, Generation 4, people have been debating for a while. Like, there are some people who are like, Season 1 was the only good season, bronies, or things should have ended at Season 3. There's a lot of, like, divisive things with the fandom, just like with the show alone. And then G5 came out, so I feel like a lot of bronies, like at least a good amount, would say like, yeah, they haven't delivered on good honest effort and good quality because on G5 alone. But overall, how do you guys feel? Have they delivered on honest effort and good quality?
I think that's the other thing, because when it comes to what the writers are putting together, Heather, you said yourself, and feel free to correct me if it was you or if it was Brawny, that when it comes to they have a self-esteem issue. They feel like they could have put more effort into something, but whatever story they're trying to project, and whatever comes to, let's say, a reviewer or an analyst delivers how they feel they want to put into, and they feel, there's a point Brawny mentioned that it kind of turns to a point where they're putting in their own fan theories or their fan fictions that they want brought to life. And there is some, like, I can see some truth to that, and I can see why that's applied. It's because they feel like how that applies in that story makes sense to them, but it doesn't match the same thing with what the writers intend to write, as well as, missing the point of what the original message was that the episode is trying to imply. And that's what I mean when I say that not everybody thinks on the same page. I still have yet to talk more about the quote-unquote wasted potential or missed potential. That's just a future video idea that I have in mind. But looking at a few others, let's see, and fans, you can do everything better. I could see some truth to that. There's a couple of projects I can name as an example that have a better art, well, not better art style, but an art style that is something that involves a little bit more effort than what the show's art style has. And there is, like, this is kind of comparing apples and oranges. So we already know about the pup style animation with MLP, but you look at something like Dual Cartoonist when they made, what is it called?
The Moon Rises.
The one with Come Little Children.
The
Moon Rises and, like those two. Like, that has more of a Disney-esque sort of look to it.
The one with the children was Children of Luna, I believe.
Yes.
I think so. That's an old one.
Right. However, if people are expecting a standard like that to be applied to what the showrunners are doing, first off, we're looking at budget issues. Like, they have to produce the right amount of quality to present it on TV, but at the same time, they can't, like, pay for, like, the top-notch animations. That's why they have to go for a particular style. But that's just me looking at styles. But as far as writing is concerned, there is an idea on what the writers are trying to do, but sometimes if you have the idea of what you're going for, it doesn't match with everybody else, and that's more of a shot in the dark when you're being a paid writer to write for a specific TV series.
Yes, so, people sometimes bronies, and I'm sure you've seen this too, and people have come up to me in person and said some of the things I was talking about, and it's like I said, I'm sure you've seen it too, where people just think that their idea is better, or their fan theory or their headcanon should be put into the show and it like, am I wrong? Or tell me if I'm wrong here. Have you ever had somebody come up to you like at a convention or in your comment section and say it should have been X, Y, and Z, and they just had the most brain dead take you've ever seen in your life?
Almost all the time.
Yeah.
Almost all the time.
Yeah, and now are you like me in a sense that you'll tell them that it's a dumb idea?
I'm going to cautiously say yes, but I don't remember what, because like in my 10 plus years of being a reviewer to MLP, there's been a lot of events that I probably glossed over, and I'm sure there's like an example or two that somebody would call out. Like I would have to have a serious memory refresher of that, but
I'll tell you what I get a lot. What I get a lot is people say, this episode was bad because when this character was in this situation, she made this decision and I would have made this decision. And I'm like, aha, you might have made this decision that you're talking about. We're not talking about you, though. We are talking about this character who is...
Yeah, because we are referring to like because we're referring to like personal preference and such. And something else that I notice is that when people get down to the most nitpicky details, like this character could have done this instead of that, but not everybody thinks the same way as you do. And I think that's just part of that. It really all depends on how you look at everything. Some parts of the writing involve certain characters and how they feel and act, and they don't necessarily resonate with you. Which is why it's also important to not like get so nitpicky to the point where you try to apply to logic to literally everything. Not everybody is going to think logically.
Yeah, especially especially in a stressful situation or a situation that you've not had practice with. And we saw it a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
We saw it a lot in Cutie Mark Crusader episodes where it's like, oh, the solution is so very obvious. To a 30-year-old, maybe. to a child. Not to a child that's
gonna gloss over. Yeah. It's like a lot of people complain about the end of what's it called, the Showstoppers, and Twilight is hinting them on what they feel that what their big talent is, and they just say comedy compared to the more obvious ones. And I can see why some adults would find it frustrating, but they're also kids, and kids think differently.
Right. So and chat. I know I said it's a thumbnail. I did that on purpose because we're talking about something that's not related to what would have been on screen otherwise. But already then, Golden, is there anything else you want to say?
I feel like I missed a thing or two, but I feel as though I should let you continue reading the rest of the article.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on nonetheless. We love hearing from you. Keep up the good work.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good night. Oh, shoot. I shouldn't have done that then. I hung up. I was supposed to hang him up. Yoink. Alrighty then. Yeah, that was a nice conversation there. Moving on back to where we were. Now you guys can see. Okay, so somebody who I should probably get to know here, Glistening Dawn, was asked to talk about the childhood of Hitch Trailblazer. Hitch's past is certainly an intriguing one. Like all other ponies of Gen 5, Hitch grew up with the ideas that the other groups were antagonistic and violent. Yet, despite the fact that Hitch still stuck to his duties as sheriff, thus making him an opponent to Sonny's breaches of Cantor logic, he still maintained a more open mind than the rest of Maritime Bay on the topic, and was the first Earth pony to accept Sonny's ideals. Even before that, he was still her closest friend by a huge margin, so it makes one ponder what led to this. Okay, so that's certainly... Here's the thing, that without getting even further into it yet, they were close friends from an early childhood.
Yes.
So there's probably some, friendly affection there. A lot of people are usually willing to give their friends more slack. So even if they disagreed, and yeah, he was, in the movie, he was very smart and open-minded of, hey, and what I loved about Hitch in the movie is he said, if you want me to believe you, I need to see some evidence.
Yeah, like, I'll give it that. We for sure are all about being like person like, hey, how about you back that up with a source?
Yeah.
And Sunny Star Scout's thing for the longest time was like, my sources, I made it the fuck up. My dad said I was right.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. So, yeah. My source is my dead dad. You want to question my dead dad, Hitch?
Yeah, Hitch.
You want to question my dead mom, too, while you're at it?
My mom died in childbirth because we didn't have unicorn magic to help us with childbirth.
Oh, God.
That's probably what happened.
Now then, so obviously Hitch grew up with many opposing perspectives trying to influence him. Out of what you've seen of Gen 5, Heather, do you think that's true?
I think so, because obviously all the other Earth ponies were of the mind of, like, unicorns and Pegasi are savages, brutes, they're terrible, we shouldn't be aligned with him. But he also knew Sunny and her father and would get a different perspective on that. Obviously, like, the louder voices might drown out Sunny and her father from time to time, but considering that, he stayed very well balanced.
Let's see here. His school classes, most of the community, and of course Phyllis Cloverleaf all gave backing to the idea that unicorns and Pegasi were not to be trusted, and yet Sunny and Argyle were also very pleasant with Hitch, even if they said the exact opposite.
I would say that's probably what influenced him, is like, but these people are so nice, and they are, you know, reasonable people, so they must think these things that they do for a logical reason.
That's another thing that, like, and, you know, fandom in general, but since I'm in the Brony fandom so closely, I see it a lot. I see it the most in the Brony fandom, is if you want somebody to agree with you, if you want to change their mind, you have to be their friend. You can't just tell someone they're wrong. You can't just flip out if somebody disagrees with you. You've got to work with them, and you've got to be nice to people, and then they're going to be more likely to listen to you. But if you're sitting there flipping out, calling them names, being a jerk, they're going to say, okay, so people like you who think like you act like this, and whether or not you're the outlier is irrelevant. That's just, you're not going to get through to anybody with that behavior.
And I will say, like, yeah, you might want to change someone's mind, but be prepared for the outcome that they might not. They might still stick to their opinion or their perspective on something because it makes the most sense to them. And that should be just fine. That should be okay that someone has a different perspective than you and a different opinion. That what makes the world so rich is that there's such a diversity in thoughts and opinions. So we should always, you know, regard those things with respect. Maybe you didn't change their mind, but a conversation happened, and maybe their perspective wasn't flipped to what you would have wanted it to be. They're not completely on your side, but they at least understand you a lot more, and you might understand them a lot more and see why they came to that conclusion.
That's how, you know, that's, talking politically for a second here, that's how I became a centrist. Is, yeah, I was raised surrounded by certain viewpoints, but as I talked to people who disagreed with those viewpoints, even if I don't agree with them now, I at least understand the source of their problems and can empathize with them and sympathize. And I want to fix the problem. We just might have different ideas on how to fix it. And that's what we got to figure out. So anyway, we can automatically tell from this alone that Hitch was at least polite and kind to those he disagreed with, regardless of their mindset. His good status in Maritime Bay and the fact that Sunny straight up admits in the Book of Adventure that Hitch joining her wouldn't have been a surprise to her because Hitch has always done the right thing paints a clear picture of his excellent morals and good character.
Certified good boy.
We also haven't seen Hitch's parents yet, so we can't be certain if they're involved in his upbringing at the time. As such, it seems that Hitch spent a good amount of time either playing at the Star Scout residence or with his grandmother, Figgy. It makes one question how Figgy felt about the Pony Divide. She, at the very least, seems to have been a friend of Argyle's. Sunny and Hitch spent at least 2 wish days together before magic returned, so there's clearly some sort of a tie between their families as well, stronger than the ties Hitch had with the Cloverleaf family for certain. As such, Hitch seems to have spent a very conflicting childhood. He would have constantly had 2 vastly different ideologies flying at him at all times, also growing into his future position as the town sheriff and protector. On top of that, it's honestly not surprising that Hitch thus became the figure with any sort of opening for Sunny to reach their initial quest. Even if he called the stories fairy tale, it still would have been something he heard his entire childhood as well. I'd like to see Hitch's upbringing covered in more detail in the future, as this is a fascinating concept to explore the origins of Hitch and who he chose to associate with or learn from. How these events led to his future actions would be nice to see.
I will say I enjoyed that more than I thought I was going to, but they bring up a good point, which makes you kind of appreciate that character a lot more, you know? It's like what we talked about. He was, you know, he kept his mind open and was reasonable when a lot of the other Earth ponies at, what was it, I forget the name of the place. Horseshoe Bay?
Maritime Bay.
Maritime Bay. Yeah, he was a lot more reasonable than the general masses there. And, yeah, I do, like, they brought up his grandmother there, which was what I was talking about earlier. Like, that's one of the only family members he has that has been seen and mentioned. I don't remember him ever, like, talking about his parents either. So, man, like, either that or people just have a lot of dead parents in this series. Like, legit, Pip and Zip only have their mother, and that mother is dating Alphabeetle. So that their father figure is like non-existent. I'm certain that he must have died, and canonically, Sunny's parents must be dead as well. And
you ready for me to get a little bit controversial here, Heather?
Everyone's parents are dead?
I think it's more of a meta issue in the writing, because most people don't really grow up in two-parent households anymore. So now we got writers that don't know how to write two-parent households.
Oh, so they just do like, I don't know how that works, so I'm just going to write what I know. Everyone gets one parent or no parents.
Yeah, everybody gets one parent, or y'all were raised by a grandmother or something like that, right? And that type of trend has been increasing enough over the decades that, yeah, we are probably in second and third generation single-parent households at this point.
Everyone's got to stop dying.
Yeah, well, or stay married. That's also an option.
I don't know.
Or get married in the first place after you conceive.
I don't know. If you made that bad of a decision before you got married, I don't think marriage would be
Return
the
to
next good
traditional
decision.
values.
I'm just saying they already made the bad decision together to have premarital coitus and push out a newborn. I don't think them being married is going to be the first good decision they've ever made. I'm seeing a trend here.
Alrighty then. So the chat didn't really have much to say about that.
Who cares about Hitch in Gen 5?
Yep.
They
got Mangle Muffin saying my dad left when I was very young, so my mom took care of me all my life.
Hey,
that
girl.
That is unfortunately a very common story. These
Dads
days.
find it so easy to run away. Like they don't have an umbilical cord to cut off like mothers do. Don't worry, I grew up with a single mom too.
I had both my parents, and they were actually both very good parents. I'm incredibly lucky.
Oh, aren't you so wholesome with your not broken up family?
Well, it would have been great if my older brother hadn't thrown a wrench in all of it, but...
Yeah, sometimes you're just born strange. There's always got to be something. It's like the universe trying to correct itself. Like, no, this family's too together and happy. We got to fucking put a psychopath in there.
Yep. Let's see here. 10th anniversary of My Little Pony Equestria Girls by Double C. And
like the first movie? So
yeah.
you're CC?
I guess so. Double C.
Closed captions?
Let's see here. The 10th anniversary of Equestria Girls will soon arrive. When it first came out in the limit theater time, and hope we get a good one. Okay,
it better not be written like this the whole time, because I'm not going to deal with it.
Yeah, guys, come on. If you're going to write to Equestria Daily, check your freaking grammar, please.
Let me read this.
All right.
Equestria Girls, to me, is how I got into the fandom, especially one that I will talk about later. Latter. That's latter. While the first film was met with mixed reviews, primarily seeing human versions of each pony. However, the 3 sequels were all met with positive. That's not incorrect, but I gotta say, I liked all the humanized pony designs. Everyone had a problem with the shoes.
People, Rainbow Rocks was universally loved.
I love that.
What came after that? That was Friendship Games then.
Yeah, and
then there was, which was not as well received, but definitely better than the first. And then Legend of Everfree, and that one was pretty mixed as well.
I liked it.
Yeah. And then
Twilight got another boyfriend. I love it when Twilight gets a boyfriend. I like it when the nerdy girl gets the guys.
You would, you freaking nerd.
I'm a girl.
All right, continue.
This would later spawn many music shorts, episodes, Decide Your Ending, and specials. I really got to catch up on those because those were pretty fun. I liked them. There was a planned season 3, but was canceled without a proper ending, which left us disappointed. I'm confused. There was? Okay. The one question...
Yeah, there was, and Nick Confalone was heading it. And then they were just like, okay, we're pulling the plug. And
Forget it.
Apparently they were going to meet, like, that world Sunset Shimmer.
Oh, man.
There were going to be 2 Sunset Shimmers.
So she's not dead?
We don't know. Well, obviously we'll never know. But that was, Nick Confalone had said he was working on meeting the other Sunset Shimmer. By the same token, Megan McCarthy had said there is no original human Sunset Shimmer because Sunset Shimmer Sunset Shimmer was always destined to make that world her home.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The one question that the season 2 final could have answered is whatever happened to the human sunset. Hey, there we go. It would have been the most anticipated special since the 3-part finale of FIM. It's unknown how the story would have played out, but many fans speculate that the human Sunset would be the villain. She would seek revenge on Sunset for stealing her life, and honestly, she would have a justifiable reason. But the main subject is the fate of the 2 Sunsets, since only one can exist in one realm and the balance is thrown off. As mentioned before, Sunset would return to Equestria while human Sunset would get with the human main 6, but some think Sunset would stay while human Sunset would have started over in Equestria. Now human Sunset in Equestria would be interesting, for it will give Twilight another student to teach and another friend for Starlight to teach her to fit in. If you all know from previous Soapbox is I'm a Hug Flashlight fan. Even to this day, he is both my most favorite and the reason I got into the fandom. Flash Sentry, both his human and pony versions, have got nothing but criticisms from the fandom, all because he was meant to be Twilight's love interest. That was kind of just a salty simp thing.
Yeah.
Even though they...
Especially with that music video that came out, Cheer You On. Did you see that?
God, I don't remember it, but I do remember...
It was the cringiest thing Equestria Girls ever came out with.
I want to watch it again.
It was painful. All right.
Guys, if you donate $5, we'll watch the video on stream. Even though they couldn't be together, but both Twilight and Flash would thank Human Flash for bringing them together. Human Flash would also be happy knowing that his pony version would keep Twilight happy and safe as he would do. So hopefully IDW will come up with a series of stories for the 10th anniversary that could finally conclude it. Hasbro has started making Gen 5 Equestria Girls dolls for Sunny, Izzy, Zip, and Pip in their human forms, but no hitch yet. Really? They have? I didn't know. While unknown if Hasbro will go through with this or just making it since they have a history making toys of adding characters without putting them in the show, like Princess Gold Lily, Princess Sterling, and Princess Skyla. I didn't hear of the first 2. If they do, they should end Gen 4 first before Gen 5. Otherwise, it could create more questions. What you like to see the 10th anniversary of Equestria
so
Girls?
the 10th anniversary, this is confusing me a little bit because I thought we were dealing with a more recent post. The 10th anniversary was last year. When was this posted?
I don't know.
Let's look here.
I mean, these topics are still kind of relevant. Like, we didn't even realize that until we were...
March 3rd, 2023. So
Oh! That's hilarious.
Yeah. Okay, so we got a lot of headcanon here.
Yeah, what were Princess Gold Lily and Princess Sterling? That was a thing?
I have never heard those names.
I never heard those either. They're not bad names.
Let's see here. Yeah, well, here, that would, a human sunset, native human sunset would have been really interesting. Because that would definitely serve as a good way for Sunset to sort of deal with further repercussions of her actions that she'd never considered before. And, you know, the life that she probably stepped into while this one was out and how they reconcile it. I don't know. While you were reading that, I had an image in my head of that meme that's been going around where characters are like, I think we're going to have to kill this guy. and somebody just goes, dang, you know?
Oh yeah, why did it start as a
And
Steven
some-
Universe meme?
yeah.
Like it was Garnet touching Steven, like, I think we're going to have to kill this guy, Steven. He's just like, dang.
Yeah, that was it, and it was. I think I heard they were talking to Hitler in the original comic that came from, but
You know what? At least Garnet knew the right thing to do. It's like, I gotta fucking kill this guy.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to kill this guy. Could you, like, Sunset's a villain, right? The native human Sunset is a villain, and if she's just like she cannot be defeated. And she's not letting up. She can't be reasoned with. Could you just imagine, like, somebody else, like, probably Rainbow Dash, just going up and putting a hand on something? I think we're going to have to kill this girl, Sunset.
It would be fucking, it would be Applejack, which was like, I think we have to kill her, Sunset, because Rainbow Dash would just be cursing in the corner like, fucking finally! I wanted to kill her this whole time!
I wanted to kill that bitch 10 minutes ago, but nobody listened to me then. No one listens to Rainbow Dash after 5 bangs.
Paladin Pony T says, tradition!
Tradition. I've been wanting to rewatch that movie.
Yep. Let's see here. What else we got? Sunset Shimmer and Starlight Glimmer are the same with their last name and are the most powerful ponies.
Always with the Immers.
Yep. Here's a question for Brawny and Heather. Do you think Equestria Girls would have been better if it wasn't a mirrorverse to Equestria?
I don't know how else it would have worked. I mean, I was fine with it.
There's no easy fix.
Like what? It's just
They would have had to restructure the whole thing top down.
Like as it is, it was kind of an isekai kind of deal.
Yeah.
Like you want even more isekai? Is Equestria Girls technically an isekai?
Shoot, it might be.
Oh my god, Equestria Girls is an anime. I knew it.
Yeah, and the human world, we've seen like Star's World of Bearded was pretty much using that as like his dumb,
trash can.
Yeah, his trash can. He's like, oh, here's this magical thing that I don't want to deal with.
It's like, I don't know
here's
how to
this
deal with
world
this.
that doesn't have magic. Let me just throw it over there so that.
He just goes, this bitch evil. Yeet.
Yeah, that caused the sirens. And that caused the memory stone.
Hey, now that Star Swirl is back, do you think like they're ever just gonna go up to him and be like, "So what the fuck, bro?" Like I want Sunset to come back to Equestria and be like, "So what the fuck, dude? I like had to deal with all this bullshit because you kept throwing shit. Stop. What if he tries to do it again? It's like, don't worry, I'll throw it in this one world." And they're like, "No, don't do it again."
Yeah, that's gotta be Twilight
Stop.
that stops him.
It's like, stop. Fucking stop doing that.
Yeah, listen, the last time you did that, I had to go over there and write a song.
I couldn't even write the song. We had to pull out some shit Fluttershy from that universe made up.
And then you just hear Fluttershy in the back, oh my.
Oh my. Maybe I should try songwriting, just like I actually crochet and don't tell anybody.
And then the next thing you know, you got the universes melting like they did in the Reflections arc of the IDW comics.
Hot damn.
We get Equestria Girls, good guy Sombra.
Good guy Sombra.
Who then turns evil anyway. The frick? I'm just confusing myself at
that
this
was a
point.
confusing plot line.
Listen, the show did not need to end. I could have written that show for another 10 years. We would have needed to replace the voice actors, but I could have done it.
Don't worry, we have
in
AI
fact, just
voices
cast
now.
me. I'll voice all the characters.
You could voice all the girls, and I'll voice all the boys.
Yeah.
It'll be the mentally advanced series all over again.
Oh, God. Let's see here. Mango Muffin says, hey, Brawny, do you and Heather have your own Discord servers?
We do. We both do.
Yeah, we both do. Ours are Patreon servers. So I'm really cheap. So you can get into mine for as little as $1 a month. Heather's is like $10 because she doesn't want to deal with people.
Hey, I mean, yes, but it's also because
way to put that in the most blunt way possible and cost me
dumb whore.
and cost me customers,
like, look,
Brawny.
I'm just saying, I'm not trying that hard to like attract people to the server because it's really for people who want to build a community with me and deal with my shit posting. And honestly, if I let the server become too big, Brawny already has to like do it as a part-time job, moderating everybody in the discourse in his server.
Not only that, I allow political discussions in my server, and it gets heated.
I don't want that. I don't want that. So look, I make it more expensive because the people who pay more are usually people who are committed to being more well-behaved. They really want to be there. They are, like, I'll say it, all the patrons in my Discord server, they're great. They're not troublemakers. They're very devoted. They're very great people to try to build a small community with. I like keeping it smaller and low key. It's easier to manage. I am just one person, and the only reason I would bring it, like I try to make it bigger, is if this was my full-time gig and I could devote more time to it. But as it stands right now, it's not. And there's only me. The only moderator really is me and Emerald, basically. Me and Spencer, and Spencer's just kind of doing that for funsies. So, like, unless I can, that's just it. Yeah, that's just it. Like, there's only 2 people that can possibly moderate this Discord server, and we both have full-time jobs. So I put it at a higher tier, so people who pay for it are really going in there on their best behavior to get the most as they can out of the experience.
Rusty says, I am not Heather's. Like, I am not one of your fried chicken tramps. Impress me!
I know, right?
Here's the thing, though. Heather is totally a tramp for fried chicken.
I could do both. I'm a girl that does both, okay?
We're gonna go to Huey Magoo's.
Girl, we can't go to Huey Magoo's. Anyways, but yeah, the fucking I had something else to say and I forgot what it was.
Something about your community on your Patreon Discord.
Well, yeah, and if you want to join my server, yeah, I fairly encourage it. You should just go in there and look at all my memes. And the channel where I just post nothing but animal pictures. Everyone posts animal pictures there. It's of our pets and just things we find. I think we threw a whole bunch of pictures of gators in there that we took at Gatorland.
Yeah.
Loved that. But yeah, my Discord's a very fun place. It is kind of exclusive, a little bit on the pricier end, but I think it's worth the experience. But anyways, it's Princess Cadence, the almighty alicorn. She might be. Remember that debate?
Yeah, that was certainly
I took Princess Cadence in that one, and I was just like, because you wouldn't let me argue me.
I'm gonna end up trying to call Silverquill into here so he can fight with you about this if you end up agreeing. So the MLP fandom, and quite frequently the MLP official canon itself, seem to make Princess Celestia and Luna as the almighty supreme goddesses.
You're starting off real strong with that.
For instance, we have seen frequent instances of Twilight where she uses Celestia's name in place of God.
Oh, we're going there.
Such as in the episode Celestial Advice, where Twilight speaks, and we know, let's see here. To which Celestia herself responds that she didn't know she was an expression, which I don't believe. You're 1,000 years old.
She had that face. She had that face like, I didn't realize it. I'm like, no, she's like fucking with you.
Yeah, so.
She has that troll face.
More of that. Anyway, but one character I never see around these discussions is the 23-year-old Cadence, right? It doesn't actually say that, but the point is Celestia's been around for 1,000 years and has been the only ruling body for 1,000 years. Cadence is the same age as Twilight's older brother. But anyway, Celestia and Luna are always held to the highest regards by both ponies and fandom, but why not Cadence? While it's pounded in our heads with a sledgehammer time and time again that Celestia and Luna are top tier, they raise the sun and the moon, while at the same time being held in the highest regards of their subjects. You are getting repetitive, Mr. or Miss Mana Minori.
Mana Minori.
Both are fallible and fall to villains, and Celestia herself is outclassed in magical power by Twilight, who creates a new magic, the magic of friendship. No, that is not new. Friendship is magic. She just had to figure that out in the first episode. And don't bring Magical Mystery Cure into this. It makes zero friction sense. I headbutted a door off its hinges. It made so little sense.
I liked that episode.
Isn't the staple of any solid friendship the element of love? Cadence's element. Okay, so now we're getting into it, Heather.
He has a point there.
All right, so let's put a pin in that and move on here. In the Journal of the Two Sisters, which was canonized in Scaremaster, a passage from Celestia herself states that Alicorn stood for everything Equestria was founded upon: love, harmony, and friendship. It's interesting how love is the first key element at play here, because you can't have a foundation for a relationship between anyone, familial, friendship, or romantic, without the element of love taken into consideration. We also, I'm going to say this right here, in Greek, familial, friendship, and romantic are all, like, in English we only have the one word love, but in Greek they had, I'm mad.
Like
'Cause
3 different words
They
for
had
love?
they had 3 different words for love, and you would use them in the context of familiar, friendship, and romantic. And I don't remember them, and I'm mad about it. Let's see here. And without the element, there is no harmony, and without harmony, there is no magic of friendship. And while there are a multitude of religions and mythos with their own gods that MLP takes inspiration and reference to across its episodes, if we look at this from a Christian viewpoint, especially 1 John 4 through 8, the verse that clarifies that God is love, which I'll reference in defense of this theory. But what other love related alicorn do we know in this cute pastel pony series? None that I know of. And if Cadence being a pony of love and God, who is love, is true, then this could also explain why Flurry Heart herself was born an alicorn. Not so much due to the perfect off chance 1 gazillion blend of genetics, but due to the fact that Flurry Heart is essentially God's offspring, essentially Pony Jesus.
Brawny,
What the frick?
Did you write this
No,
in like
I
a
did not.
sleep-deprived stupor? He quoted the Bible. He quoted the Bible.
I am not the
I'm
only-
gonna use that argument. I'm gonna copy-paste that. I'm gonna use that argument when we get into this debate.
I
again.
am not the only Christian in the fandom, Heather.
God is love. Cadence is alicorn of love. Therefore, Cadence is alicorn of God. I win!
There's a lot to unpack here, and I'm not sure.
There is a lot to unpack here, Brawny.
Oh,
Don't
God.
you love that they quoted? They got Christian about it. You love Christianity.
I do love it, right? And the show is very Christian, even if, the majority atheist, the atheist majority of the fandom it refuses to believe it, right? It is a very Christian show.
I feel like you just, I feel like Christian stuff to you is just very general stuff. Like friendship and magic and shit. Like, dude, that's all, everything. That's not something that's specifically Christian. That's an everybody thing. Like, Christians value a lot of stuff that a lot of other people value, They have the same values as a lot of other people who aren't Christian.
Harriman saying they were doing so well.
They were doing so well. You can't exactly use a Bible verse like that, I don't
There's
think.
a lot to unpack here, and I'm not sure I agree. Okay, so
Come on, Brawny. I thought you were into Christians.
that's not the point. It's a bad analogy.
I kind of like it though. I like the logic
So
of it. It's fun.
listen. Yeah, you need love. Now this is interesting because I got to work this out in real time here, because we're dealing with cyclical logic here. You got to have love in order to create friendship, but friendship is also the first step in creating love, because I think we can agree that love is a more powerful word than just friendship. So they're not a perfect circle, but they are a Venn diagram, these two concepts. So now you read the Curse of the Crystal Heart or whatever it was, wasn't it, where that went into Cadence's origins?
I read that book, yeah.
Yeah, so
Well, it didn't, she just said it for a little bit. She was just like, oh yeah, this happened. And that was it.
okay, so how did she become an alicorn then? She found a spell
I
to
don't...
fight the witch that was sucking love out of people.
She was a Pegasus, and there was an enchantress, and she did evil dances, and Cadence was able to best her or something. I don't know how she did that being a Pegasus.
I don't know. So that's so Cadence went through a similar sort of thing in order to become an alicorn like Twilight did. The Jesus analogy is a little off because God just is and always has been. And then, yes, Jesus was the incarnation of God in the flesh. Not necessarily. Well, I don't know. I got to tiptoe here because I don't want to be blasphemous. But it's the whole concept of the Trinity is Father, Son, Holy Spirit. So the Almighty, the flesh, and the Spirit are three different beings in one, 3 different aspects of one being. So we're definitely dealing with a far off sort of thing here from Flurry Heart being Jesus. But now I see what this person meant by Almighty Alicorn. So
maybe she's the All Might Alicorn. You know, I mean, if they crucify Flurry Heart, we don't know what happened to her after G4 ended. If she got crucified, she is Pony Jesus.
I don't know. Gen 5 retcons so much stuff, it's actually sickening.
What did...
So, you were making good points, Madam Minori, and then you hit these last 2 paragraphs here.
Maybe that was the goal. They just was like, this last few paragraphs, I'm gonna fill it up with some shit that's gonna make some... Like, they did not put that and just, like, not... Like,
in a year, Brawny Buck's gonna read this live on air and absolutely short circuit.
No, I want to go to the comment sections and see what... Because, like, you can't tell me there are people that aren't
We
gotta
pissed wrap
off
up,
about
but yeah,
this.
let's go to the comment section and see what we can find here. What do you see, Heather? Alicorns aren't gods!
They're a 4th pony race. Saying the flaws is supposed to be a deconstruction of that ideal. There are people, ponies, who worship the ground that those of certain title or status walk on for various reasons, but they're remarkably similar to us. That said, though, it was common knowledge that decisions to make Cadence and Alicorn and give her a kingdom and whatnot were all made fairly late in Season 2's development. Foss said she pitched Cadence as a unicorn and was surprised to learn she became an Alicorn. As for why they made the change, imagine it was the same reason they made Twilight Alicorn and made Baby Alicorn. And
there really should not have been more than 2 Alicorns until the very end of the show.
Someone just said this is a really good theory and one I haven't seen before. Someone goes, yeah, I don't know. We have just one Almighty Alicorn when we've already got the whole set. You know, we've got Celestia, Luna, Twilight, and I believe Flurry Heart's the latest addition in the G4 storyline.
Jeez, that's how you find a... You know you found a Brony who hasn't watched the show since Season 5.
Oh, I love that this person points out with the first one with Brony's being egotistical. Lots of straw manning in that first one. Does anyone actually say that everything Bronies make is great, including all that weird stuff on Derpy Buru? I've never seen anyone say that. I've seen people say that some things fans make have more heart and storytelling mastery in them than the source material itself, which is definitely true for MLP and other fandoms alike. See Myth's Bad Endings for a great example. Anyway, I raise my glass for Equestria Hero, still holding on to the hope that Hasbro will get Joanna and Christine to write a proper ending for it someday. Those 2 did a fantastic job with Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beast. By the way, I decided to give that show a shot because they were in it, and I wasn't disappointed. That's good.
All right, so let's wrap this up, Heather.
All right.
So, we only got through one of them this time.
Yeah, there was a lot to discuss.
And it was still a year old. Like, that...
Very relevant topics. You know, it's worth revisiting old ones.
Yeah, no, this was at the bottom of the page here, and then
do they not do these like
they used to do them all the time, and I feel like I've been seeing them less and less. They came out with one a couple of days ago that I'm scrolling up there to try to find it now. I feel
like this fandom probably doesn't want to sit down and read.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This one came out earlier this week, yesterday, as a matter of fact. So
I like some of these topics.
Yeah. So we'll get into those another day, maybe next week or maybe not. But we'll find out. So anyway, if you thanks again to Golden Fox for coming on the show and telling us his thoughts. That was nice. If you would like to get on the show, we'd love to have you for just as little as $1 a month. Check out the Patreon link in the description. It's in my link tree, and also my supporters make some pretty good content themselves. That is a separate link tree link. We're very grateful to everybody, especially on the $10 and up tier, who supports the channel, especially Heather. There's Shady, Autoknight, Emerald Spencer, Senko, DJ, Rein-Kun, Billy, Alden, Easy Mode, Kanto, Mr. Zonic, Alicia, Calbeck, StarChaser, VentureCorp, Willyzin, Icanus, Gruila, Vulpecula, Raptors Talon, Jimmy D. Banthrall Jr., and Dark Malcontent. So we will see you in a few minutes because we're going to try to play some Battle Gem Ponies and see what that's about, because that game's supposed to be getting a full release, I believe, next month. So we're going to go play the demo, so tune in for Sunday Smashdown in just a few minutes here. Until then, stay safe, God bless, and have a wonderful night, everyone. Say goodnight, Heather.
Good night.